Okay, we are live, and this is a supplement to episode 26 of Meet the Voter, which is on Sunday nights live on Google Plus Hangouts. But this is what we do for podcasting, so you can watch both. Last night you had a lively discussion. I caught a little bit of it as I was coming in from Las Vegas back into Reno. I was listening on Blab on my iPhone, but sounded pretty interesting. A lot happened, Bob. So on this little section, we're going to talk about a real quick update on the candidates, and then a couple talking points and advice you give to them.
Sounds like a plan, Bill.
So let's start out with the three Republicans. Ted Cruz. What do you think?
Advice to Ted Cruz is let the people vote, Ted, because that's going to hurt you with the fact of with your voter suppression. And even though he's an insider, that's what it's showing. He shows he's part of the establishment because he knows the rules of the game. Trump is not. He's an outsider. And I think the 1 million Republicans in Colorado that are getting disenfranchised, they're going to remember this moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened in Colorado. I meant to check that out. I know that supposedly their caucus wasn't really a caucus. It was some kind of a Republican Party cabal or something. I'm not sure.
That's pretty much what it is. But it's, to me with Ted Cruz, he says he believes in the Constitution. Well, I believe in one man, one vote. Let the people vote. They're just totally called off the election, in essence, for the primary. And they just said, we're going to go with the fact we're going to give Ted Cruz all these delegates. And I think it's almost criminal.
I can't believe they did that in Colorado. That's crazy.
Well, they do it because they can. I mean, obviously it's a power play on his side, and that's why Trump's guy said he's basically Gestapo-type tactics on that. Yeah. But the message they're sending is that your vote doesn't matter. Your voice doesn't count. And I think that's a bad message for Cruz, who, again, says he is the strongest supporter of the Constitution. I don't think he's actually his words don't meet his actions.
Yeah. So I saw him as an outsider, to tell the truth. But Trump is more so of an outsider, that's for sure, among both parties, really. And yet he's getting more votes than anybody else on the Republican side, and more delegates through what he's done early on. But now you've got Kasich, Cruz, and now Trump. So we talked a little bit about Kasich before the show. He's really a non-player. If anything, he's just peeling off some more votes from Trump to open up more, to shoot us into the convention without a majority for Trump. That's what it looks like.
Well, that's what the establishment wants. They want, basically, if possible, both candidates, Trump to come in with about 1,100 and Cruz to come in with maybe 900. But they want to make sure that neither one hits that magic number because they hate both of them. And again, I think it's just a ploy of trying to put in their own guy. And I have no idea who they put in there, because here you have millions of Americans, Republicans, have voted for Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. And those should be those are two of the 18 that initially started. And we throw Kasich in there. So those are 3 of the 18 that originally started. It should be one of those 3.
So if you're Trump's consultant right now, what do you tell him for talking points? What do you tell him to say?
His talking points are still the same. Make America great again. That's what it's all about. You need to keep a positive message. And I really think he needs to get out there and say, listen, what's going on with Colorado is basically what Ted Cruz would like to do for the entire country. They don't want your vote to count. And I pound him on that. But then I'm going to go with the positive message of make America great again. And it's still all about jobs, the economy, national defense, and border. If you don't have borders, again, you don't have a country. And about ISIS, I think ISIS is a great issue to get women to vote for you, because they're all about public safety. They're about security for their family. That's what it's all about, Bill. It hasn't changed any in the last 35 years. Still the same issues.
Public safety, security, education.
And the kitchen table issues of jobs.
And jobs.
Yeah.
Those are the broad points. But one thing I will say, that Trump came out this last couple of weeks with some common sense, I thought. And when it comes to negotiation, he's actually throwing some leverage out there and planning, both with the border concept with Mexico and trade, the imbalance in trade, which is $50 billion. He said he can use some of that imbalance as a leverage to make sure that the Mexican government secures their side of the border and also pays for some of the costs that are incurred by the United States. So that was pretty good. I was impressed with some of his platforms coming out. Then on the national defense, which I've been critical on him, he's actually coming out with some common sense with NATO, looking at NATO. And a lot of people are alarmed at NATO because of the status quo, but we pay 72% of NATO. We really need to turn that force into a counterterrorism force as much as anything else. And that's, if they're going to pay 72%, they need to work on the counterterrorism and those aspects worldwide.
I have a visitor here, so
yeah. if you're listening on the podcast, we are actually doing this on Google Plus Hangout, and Bob has got his faithful cat there. My dog is outside sleeping, so.
Well, to me, I was reading on Drudge Report today again how they talk about the Border Patrol. Unless they actually see somebody crossing the border, the person could be wet from head to toe. But unless they physically see them crossing the border, they're catch and release. They're letting them go. And that's why I think it's really important that the Border Patrol has, the union has supported Trump, because I think they understand it is all about national security. And I can't imagine living down near the border and having illegals who are bringing drugs. Not all are rapists, not all are murderers, not all are thugs. But the bottom line is, you need to have that security there. And I think that we need to build a fence, and we need to make sure that the Border Patrol has the authority and the common sense to not just catch and release, catch and send them back. I mean, the least we could do is what Mexico does. Let's take Mexico's policy and enact that here and treat the illegals coming across the border the same way.
Right, in their southern borders, yeah. So anyway, the border, though, it's been a long time since I've been down there, but there used to be a 25-mile strip of land or barrier where the Border Patrol had some additional authorities and could do more things. But I'm sure that's changed many times since the late 90s when I was down there working on the border as an Air National Guardsman.
Well, I saw a video of two coyotes hopping over the fence last week, and they have drugs on their back. And then they see that they're being filmed, and they climb right back over the fence.
I saw that, the two kids. Yeah, that made press. And they did climb back over the fence and went back because they're being filmed. That was interesting. Well,
they didn't want to have their drugs confiscated because they're probably being paid for that. So they'll wait another time. They're probably back here already.
Yeah, that was a real interesting film. It wasn't gone into detail that those were probably drugs on their back. They just said backpacks. They didn't want to keep them innocent.
Well, to me,
so anyway, Trump, keeping it simple, you would just say, go out there and talk about the basics.
Basics and the positive message. And again, this is when Trump needs to basically just talk to all the people there and say, Cruz is trying to deny Americans the right to vote. What is he afraid of? And I pound that issue. And the California Republic, if I get the guy here's his name here, the former chairman of the Colorado Republican Party, again, he says the message that the Republican Party is sending in Colorado is that your vote doesn't matter and your voice doesn't count. Yeah. And that's a strong message.
By the way, for what it's worth, our two biggest counties, which really are to control the whole state, both Las Vegas, which is Clark County, and Washoe, which is up here in Reno, both of the chairmen resigned.
And what was their stated reason for resigning?
Just revolt among the Republican Party, the common Republican Party. We have a lot of every precinct captain is actually a member of the party, and then they have 4 executives, then they have directors. So it's a pretty robust here. A lot more in California get more active here. Well, basically the precinct captains all revolted after some of the practices. The party, basically a lot of them in the caucuses wore stickers for Rubio.
Right.
And that started it. That's part of the start. And it sort of went from there. So a lot of things are happening here, even with upset Republicans. There's a big divide with Republicans right now here in Nevada.
Well, like I said, you look at what's going on in the election, and here you have, Obama coming out and basically attacking Trump, or basically attacking any Republican who's running. And it's just the establishment on both the Republican and Democrat sides. You look at the Boston Globe, what they put, Trump starts deportations and all the other things, just so they could make a parody of their newspaper. Yeah. Again, the Republicans are fighting so hard against Republicans. Where were they, and where have they been the last 7 years? They haven't fought anybody. They haven't fought Obama. And that's what Republicans like myself, are upset.
Yeah, it is strange. That's very true. My wife, too, when I came back from overseas, she's super upset that once the Republicans were elected into the Senate and the Congress, that they did not follow through with their pledges. Hey, we've got about 2 minutes left. Let's talk shortly about the Democrat side. You've got 2 people, basically. Bernie Sanders, who's won, 7 or 8 of the last 7 or 8. He's won in a row.
Yeah.
And you've got New York coming.
Well, and like I said, to me, I think that's where Trump makes his obviously big push, 50% plus up there. And I think New York's going to be very kind to Trump. And then you get into Pennsylvania, and you're getting into California. Time goes by fast. June primary come around very quickly. And I think the bottom line is they're still going to do anything they can to destroy Trump. I don't have a doubt about that. And I think the establishment wants anybody except Trump or Cruz. And I think the Democrat establishments want anybody other than Bernie Sanders. They want Hillary.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting. Both the establishment's candidates are definitely Hillary and someone else, some other Republican. We're not sure who the real Republican is the establishment wants to put in there.
Bernie wins all the votes, and he's getting less delegates because of super delegates. And
yeah.
The game is fixed, and it's fixed on the Republican side too. And I think Colorado shows that.
I think no matter what, after this election cycle, there's going to be a lot less confidence in American politics from the American people.
I don't know if you could drive it much lower than what it is right now. I really don't. I mean, because I think we're almost at the point of a revolution or a revolt.
New parties, maybe.
We're there. We're there.
New parties. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Well, Bob, that's all we're going to do. It's a little quick podcast. We want to send everyone over to Meet the Voter at meetthevoter.com. We've got like an hour and 15 minutes of a good blab discussion of the voter, and the Bob's in there halfway. So thanks, Bob, for coming up today. And don't go away. Stay online.
Okay. Are we done?